Hello guys, I promised you that in the last video that I would upload a new video on Halloween. In honor of Spooktober, I will be playing those scary PvZ.EXE games. The first game I will be playing is Sunflower.exe. Based on this title screen, you can clearly tell this game is gonna be good. The game starts and we play as a homeless pea shooter. After a while, we encounter a flower with the iconic ketchup eyes. I run in the forest while doing basic platforming and I encounter a homeless drug addict who sold his eyes to buy more drugs. Then he splits me in half in order to sell my organs to buy even more drugs. Then I discovered how to press the spacebar, damn it. I had also discovered that one of the buttons allows me to piss all over these zombies. I touch this brown thing and I'm suddenly pursued by spikes. My neck gets stuck, but I manage to free myself and I run into a dead end. You know, why does one pea shooter dying matter when I could simply spam them? I managed to escape the moving spikes by touching this yellow thing. Then the game swears at me in Russian. I conveniently found this moving car PNG, which should hopefully allow me to escape this nightmare abomination of a walking simulator. I would call this segment a waste of time, but I've got plenty of time to waste anyways. All of a sudden, I start playing as this thing and all I do is walk. The abomination falls and stubs their toe. Then the game swears at the little flower in Russian for being a weak piece of shit. I enter heaven and I turn this place into hell by pissing all over this place. I lose and the game rolls the credits. Speaking of which, you should go ask these guys what the meaning of life is. The second game I will be playing is Plants vs Zombies Death Prey. Too bad I'll be missing out on some very interesting lore. I'm suddenly in a forest, and I make it to hell, which includes actual platforming instead of simply holding down one button for 5 minutes. I immediately take back what I said. I enter a room which includes rising spikes and I beat it on my first try, I promise. Then we enter a chase sequence. All of a sudden, Sunflower gets left behind. Not that she matters, because virginity is cool. We enter a boss battle with a giant Frankenstein vegan turret. I collect an oversized medkit full of pills which allow me to piss in the giant's mouth, which seems to deal damage. It sends out a demonic junkie and also pisses on me. After shooting at this bullet sponge for what feels like hours, we defeat the boss and complete the game. Very rewarding, I know. The third game I'll be playing is supposedly called Gravebuster.exe. The game starts off with plants from the night levels and Gravebuster consumes a vegetable covered in coke and all of a sudden, goes insane. Then we get to experience the outstanding gameplay of walking with occasional jumping. We enter another chase sequence where Gravebuster is mad at us because he got spice in his eyes. I have nothing to say, so enjoy this time lapse where I attempt to figure out how to escape. I make it to the end and play as a miniature shroom. This level is pretty much the same as Scaredy Shroom's level, Change My Mind. But I suppose my mind needed to be changed anyway, speaking of which. I play as a pumpkin shell where I hop over giant claws, but then Vine Buster and Pumpkin decide to have beef with each other. After that conversation, Gravebuster realizes that divorce papers aren't necessary and uses a more effective method by stabbing me. I find weed which defeats Grave Eater. Remember kids, you can make your problems go away if you have a little grass in your life. But then we play as whatever the heck this thing is supposed to be. I mean, what even is this thing? Oh right, it's the greedy money absorber from the first PvZ game. We also find, are you kidding me? This game somehow understands my humor. That's even the same exact gun PNG I've used in previous videos. I don't even need a joke for this one, because the game did it for me. Real impressive if I'm being honest. The fourth game in this video is Wallnut.exe. We start off the game with these miscellaneous plants and Walnut gets chased in the forest by Tumbleweed. After a while, we find your father and we switch to Tumbleweed. Guess what happens next? That's right, another chase sequence. Tumbleweed manages to escape and we switch to Parsnip. Parsnip encounters the demon nut and they decide to play rock, paper, scissors. Parsnip chooses scissors and the demon chooses smooch. Then Tumbleweed and Dandelion are at home and get to sit back and appreciate their virgin lives. Unlike that white carrot guy from earlier, Tumbleweed gets a call from tech support on his paper iPhone PNG. Then I get to play as multiple plants at once, but I'm unfortunately unable to continue the game, because attempting to get past this nut is basically impossible, as all of these characters combined only increase my hitbox. In the end, I suppose we're all The final EXE game I will be playing is Plants vs Zombies.exe Evil Dead. I notice how professional this title screen looks. I start the game and we're immediately presented with Zomboss's pink sauce factory. Zomboss has this possessed starfish captured. Then it breaks out of the cage in order to save us from the creation of pink sauce. We suddenly transition to the plants. Sunflower gets tired of the sun and runs back inside. We also transition to a selection screen and Sunflower is ambushed by a zombie with ketchup eyes and the game switches to a poorly designed platformer. Shift is for some reason the jump button, which is also responsible for giving me this. I run past this obstacle course full of boxes and zombie bullet bills. Some time passes by and we enter yet another chase sequence. This time, it involves Zomboss with a bunch of spikes. I manage to escape, which makes Zomboss very unhappy. Then we switch to P-Shooter at a water park. He decides that he doesn't feel like living anymore and jumps in the pool. Then he finally makes it to hell. Pressing D allows me to destroy these brick blocks. I spent too long on this level. I enter an underwater segment where I win by pissing in the pool. We switch to a frozen vegetable doing sick flips and slides down a hill. He apparently forgets that snow exists and remembers that our only purpose of existing is to suffer, which also explains why he makes it to hell. Just like P-Shooter, Ice P-Shooter can really turn this place into hell by vomiting. Oh come on! I know, this game is so much fun. After I went through more very fun and totally not tedious platforming, surprise surprise, there's another one of these chase segments instead of something actually interesting. I mean, all he really does is throw dirty burger flippers and launch sausages made from children. This part was way too easy, trust me. Then the trio is sent to this random portal and gets sent to another portal while inside of a portal. Then we get to play as these three characters and play yet another tedious level. The thing I dislike about this level is that you have to manually switch to another plant in order to get past one specific obstacle. And the worst part is that if you die, you have to do this part all over again. And I don't have the time to complete the rest of this poorly designed game. We've finally escaped this nightmare. I know there was this one PvZ.EXE game that I didn't play, but that was because it was no longer available for me to play. By the way, I've got another PvZ2 video to finish since the previous one took way too long to make. Besides that, I hope my Western viewers have a happy Halloween. Anyways, goodbye. Remember kids, don't do drugs, do candy instead. Wait a second, that's not what I meant.